Time now for the Morning Rush.
And we start with Kristen Curry.
Again, morning. We are still watching for a few spot snow showers up across southern Colorado and our northern mountains, but accumulation light. And because we have strong winds in the forecast, we will be watching for some blowing snow and reduced visibility, not only over the northern mountains, but winds out east giving us problems with blowing dust. Of course, we'll keep you updated as those winds crank up. Crystal?
Much, Kristen. We're also following the day's top local stories, and we start with David Romero.
Well, the man accused of carjacking and kidnapping an Albuquerque couple, then shooting one of them, is expected to face a judge in Kansas this morning. That's where Alex Deaton's crime spree ended when authorities say he shot a convenience store clerk and stole his car. Investigators believe Deaton is responsible for the murder of two women in Mississippi, one of them his girlfriend, the kidnapping and shooting in New Mexico, then shooting and the theft of a vehicle in Kansas. More details of his crimes coming up in the 5 Facts. Sarah?
Tonight, city councilors could approve a bill that would bridge the pay gap between men and women working the same job. It's the next step in a pay equity initiative that the city started nearly 2 years ago. Companies willing to narrow the pay gap between men and women receive a 5% incentive when they apply for a city contract. The new bill would drop that pay gap from 10% to 7%. If approved, it would then go to the mayor's office to be signed and then go into effect July 1st. Adam?
On to new details. The NCIS is now investigating claims that a number of current and former Marines used social media to share thousands of naked pictures of female service members. The now closed Marines United Facebook group reportedly had hundreds of members. The online activity was first posted by a nonprofit news organization run by Marine veteran Thomas Brennan.
On to news happening today. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is expected to file amended testimony to the Senate. This after recusing himself from any Trump-Russia investigations last week. He's expected to explain why during his confirmation hearing. He did not disclose, meeting twice last year with the Russian ambassador.
A man is waking up behind bars after a series of bad moves that ended with him being hit by a car. Yesterday, APD says 42-year-old Henry Greer hit a woman in the face twice at a bus stop near Central in Texas. Greer told police he would rather, quote, hop in traffic than be arrested. Police say he got away from the officers and ran into traffic and then it was hit by a car. He is okay, but he now faces several charges.
A 19-year-old accused of shooting at another driver at an Albuquerque intersection is out on the streets this morning. In January, police say Jose Cisneros Lagarda fired 3 shots at a driver for revving his engine at a red light. No one was hit. The victim told police he was actually having engine problems that day. Cisneros Lagarda posted a $5,000 bond to get out of jail.
On to this. Today, the Senate Rules Committee is set to discuss and vote on a bill that would make the green chili cheeseburger the official hamburger of New Mexico. Sponsor of House Bill 118, Representative Matthew McQueen, says the budget will come first, but McQueen says it's also important to highlight what New Mexico does well.
On to new details this morning. Albuquerque staple program, There's a Better Way, which is in place to help tackle homelessness, could potentially spread to another city. Portland, Maine is working on a 36-week pilot program that would offer panhandlers an opportunity to work for just over $10 an hour, cleaning up parks and other light labor jobs. The city says it's similar to Albuquerque's program. Chicago has already adopted a similar program.
And tensions are mounting in Asia this morning after North Korea fired 4 banned ballistic missiles. The Pentagon says those missiles flew over 600 miles, with 3 of them landing in waters that Japan claims is its exclusive economic zone. Japan's prime minister says it shows the country's become a, quote, new kind of threat. The State Department has strongly condemned that move already.
It could take another 2 years to end the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. New details this morning. The mayor says the city will not be able to treat the water until 2019. That's how long it would take to build a new water treatment plant. Flint's drinking water contained dangerous levels of lead. This after the city switched its water source 3 years ago. The lead level has since been lowered, but residents are not using tap to cook or drink. Kristen?
Today's Metro Threat Index up to a 9. We have very strong winds expected here in the Metro, about 20 to 35 sustained, blowing dust, an issue especially on the west side, and even some chilly temperatures to start down to the 40s now. Not much of a warm up, looking at an afternoon in the 50s today, but we do expect better weather to move in late week. Crystal?
New this morning, House Republicans expected to introduce legislation to replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Congressional staffers worked last week on tweaking the proposal. Back in January, President Trump promised to repeal Obamacare and replace it with a plan that would cover everybody. Republicans need just 51 votes to pass the repeal in the Senate. It could happen.
Bernalillo County offering some various tips on how to take care of yourself during allergy season. A workshop gave some advice on allergy-friendly gardening. The focus was on how to choose plants that don't irritate the sinuses and which plants can actually counteract the effects of allergies. The topics for the upcoming workshops are skin vitality, heart health, and the immune system. For more information, check out the link on our website, krqe.com.
Today is the start of National Consumer Protection Week, and New Mexico's AG is joining the push. AG Hector Valderas kicked off the ABCs of consumer protection, tips for the public on being safe consumers. In A for Autos, the AG has released advice for making sure you're buying a car you can afford and avoiding dangerous or deceptive deals. We posted those tips for you on our website, krqe.com.
All right, maybe grab a glass of milk this morning because today is National Oreo Cookie Day. The National Biscuit Company Nabisco first developed the Oreo in 1912. Back then it was called the Oreo Biscuit. It was renamed the Oreo Sandwich in 1921, and by 1948 it became the Oreo Cream Sandwich. Today there are dozens of varieties of the cookie, and they're sold in more than 100 countries. Kristen?
Time now for a check on traffic. Nothing major out there this morning. We actually look pretty good on both interstates, surface streets, moving smoothly as well. If anything changes, you'll hear it here first.
New at 6, new research suggests soy products may not only be safe to eat, but beneficial for women with breast cancer. Doctors at Tufts University looked at patients eating high amounts of the ingredients found in soy. They found they had a lower risk of death. Scientists did not find any negative effects, even among women on hormone therapy. On
to other new research this morning shows that women who have a poor diet during their teenage and young adult years have a 35% higher risk of developing breast cancer before menopause. UCLA researchers found a diet low in veggies and high in sugar, red and processed meats, and margarine has been linked to high levels of inflammation in the body, which can lead to cancer.
Okay, if you need your daily dose of cute puppies, you've got it. 4 shelter dogs found their forever homes after their debut as ball boys at the Brazil Open tennis tournament just last year. Look how cute they are. This weekend, 6 dogs in total were looking to be adopted. They showed off their ball fetching skills during the 2 days of the tournament. They're pretty
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Cute faces. All right, time now for the 5 facts.
Number 5, some local high school students are preparing to learn what it's like to interview in the real world. Today, community members and parents will teach Cibola High School students how to create resumes and cover letters, fill out job applications, and practice interview skills. It all starts at 7:30 this morning.
On to number 4, you may notice security stickers at the gas pump if you're filling up this morning. We noticed some local gas stations are taking measures to protect customers from thieves. Last week, APD uncovered a credit card skimming ring. They found 3 of these devices inside pumps across the city. Suspects still on the run this morning. Here's a look at their pictures. If you know who they are, call police.
At number 3, looking at windy conditions across nearly the entire state of New Mexico, blowing dust, a concern blowing snow over the northern mountains with a few spot snow showers lingering around. Temperatures cooler across the western 2/3 of the state. That does include Albuquerque, but the warm-up kicks in by Wednesday.
Number 2 now. We're still awaiting word on when the man suspected of killing his girlfriend and others in Mississippi before allegedly kidnapping 2 people near La Luz Trail will be extradited to New Mexico to face charges. Alex Deaton is scheduled to appear in a Kansas courtroom this morning. Authorities there arrested Deaton after they say he drove from New Mexico, shot a store clerk, stole his car. The Kansas AG says Deaton is charged with aggravated robbery, theft, and fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. He's also charged with attempted murder. He's being held on a $5 million bond.
Number 1, we're keeping a close eye out for an announcement from the White House this morning. President Trump is expected to issue his revised immigration and travel ban today, weeks after his original order was blocked by a federal court. But before that happens, many people are talking about Trump's weekend tweets claiming former President Obama bugged Trump Tower last year. An Obama spokesperson denies that happened, and FBI Director James Comey has also reportedly asked the Department of Justice to publicly reject Trump's claims.